I'm really excited to see this match.
It's a pretty even up Fargo rating, as you can see on your screen. No difference there. A little brush off on the table. A little clean up here.
Carlene, I fully agree. You should have come up, and you should have played in it. You've been playing phenomenal lately. I mean, for a while, actually. So, but you've made huge progress. You should have been in this. Lagging it out. So Giovanna has the one ball. Definitely looks like Nicole has gotten the lag. At this point in the tournament, I usually prefer to lag just to feel the different speeds of the table I'm playing on, if there's any funny roll or whatnot when it slow rolls back to the rail. It's good to get the feel of the table, especially when you come down to this point.
It's a very good point, Alyssa. A lot of people will go for the coin flip. However, one, it's more traditional, the lag. Number two, you have to feel the roll on the table. You have to feel the speed of the rails. And that's your first opportunity when approaching the table in the tournament format, where you don't have time to warm up and hit a couple of racks before starting the next match. You know, on the pro circuits, we often do allow each player 2 to 3 racks to warm up and get acclimated to the table for a few racks. However, when that's not allowed, take advantage of every opportunity you get to hit a ball on the table. All right, here's the first break of this set.
Also, I mean, like, each table can play different, especially if there's, like, different. I mean, each table can play different, so.
Everyone has its own personality, for sure.
Yeah. So that, even if you played on this table a few racks ago, hours ago, and played on a different table, it's hard to remind yourself how this one plays.
Nicole with decent speed on the cue ball. Unfortunately, just not enough to get behind the 5. Very difficult to control 2 balls. Not sure if she's focusing on the 1 ball behind the 8 or the cue ball behind the 5. Should always be the cue ball, which you have more control over, more familiarity with controlling speed control on, but focus on the 1 ball, that being the cue ball.
What a
position
shot.
for the safety.
Oh, does it?
Now, she got the distance, but again, speed was off.
Yeah, speed was just slightly. I thought it was going to stay behind that 7-6. Yeah.
Now Nicole with a clear shot at the 1 ball.
This
hit
is
this 10, send it up.
Once again, speed. Both of these players haven't played on this table in a long time, so kind of getting the speed is quite an adjustment. Yes, this is table 1.
This is why you're always going to see a slow start.
Yeah. Oh. It was a good attempt and a nice little 2-way play. I don't know if she planned it like that, but it worked. And Nicole with a beautiful return on that. Yeah, I
looking at a 1 rail kick at the 1 on the side here.
She was kicking really well with me, so.
This is tough to cover the cue ball, however, because the three balls, like you wanted a perfect hit on that. But if you do hit it, I was going to say hit it short to send it wide up by the 7-6 area. You have the wall of blockers up there and you have complications. Just coming up table on that, you still allow yourself a shot on the three ball. If you make it, great. If not, you're leaving a situation where it's not a bad 1-7 combination. However, the angle from the cue ball is not easy position on the 1. She wants to roll up, follow in that direction, come behind it.
And it just tucked behind that 6, making it.
Yeah.
This is a safe shot now.
Now I don't believe she has a shot on a combination for the 1-4, nor does she have an easy safety play. She has to thin the 1 passing it and hide behind the 3 area.
Yeah, you called it. That was a great execution too. I don't think Giovanna can see the left side of the 1 either, and the way that she's frozen on the 3.
It's cutting off. It's not cutting off the 2-rail or a 1-rail kick at it. That's the right way to go. But it is making it a little bit wide. Like she would have to spin the cue ball more to go for either one of those, either 1 rail or 2. So I think she's going 1 rail straight at it.
It looked like 2.
Good solid hit. But one thing to remember when kicking, the most important thing to remember when kicking, accuracy, of course. However, speed, whether it's a soft kick or a hard kick. And that one, you need a lot more speed on to make the hit and send the 1 ball to the short rail up table. For those unfamiliar that are just tuning in, catching this by chance, that are unfamiliar with the terminology, up table is by the bottom of your screen. So not up on the screen, but on the bottom of the screen is the top of the table. The bottom of the table is actually at the top of the screen. Old school terminology here, the head of the table and the foot of the table. So the head's the top, foot's the bottom.
Yeah, the way the camera is angled, it would be a bit.
It could be confusing, so that's why I wanted to clarify that.
Yeah,
the bottom of your screen where the scoreboard is actually the top head of the table, referred to as the top of the head.
Or the kitchen.
The kitchen. That's my next line. Behind the line is the kitchen. Do you know where the origin of the terminology for the kitchen is? Rafi, you're out there. You're old enough to remember this. It's my age group.
Yeah,
you want to take a stab at it?
Okay, hold on. Let me. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank on this. I do not know.
It's more obvious than you'd think. Once upon a time, 8-foot tables were made to fit in the home because the 9-foot table would not. And usually, when you were playing straight pool in those days, you'd be left with the cue ball at the end of the table that was in the kitchen.
Yeah, I would never have guessed that.
Yeah, it's literally that you're in the kitchen when you're shooting. You're standing in your kitchen at your home when you're shooting out from that end of the table.
I would never have
So
guessed that.
you're in the kitchen. You're in the kitchen. So that end of the table became known as in the kitchen.
Interesting.
Don't worry, that was before my time too, so I didn't really expect you to guess that, but that was passed on to me
Okay.
from the old times.
Well, now I can pass it on to the next.
There you go. It's all about knowledge. The most important knowledge in the world was just given to it. Nice hit on the 5 ball. Again,
this is
speed.
gonna
Speed.
Make it an easy shot.
Yeah, no reward on that.
So this could be the end of the first rack. Although the 5, I mean, it looks kind of straight from this angle. However, I think she can get around that easily.
And while Nicole looks to take down this first rack of this set,
There we
we
go.
have Brianna Miller on the neighboring table staring down the 9 ball as she sits on the hill to put away that set. And she does. Pocket the 9 ball. Brianna Miller victorious over Nicole King, 5-2. Good run for Nicole. Now eliminated from the tournament from that B-side bracket. Brianna Miller advances as she fights her way back to the stream table.
And Nicole Nestor was the one who actually put Brianna on the B side to begin with.
Mhm.
If you were not tuned in during that time. All right, this could be the first rack. That was a nice shot. Out right past the 9, squeezed in the pocket.
Nice
There it
clean
is.
stroke and delivery on that. Nicole's been playing well all day. She's been breaking well all day. And,
Nicole has been on fire today. Yeah.
she had a little unfortunate set with Linda Shea, who sent her to the one-loss side, but now she's still keeping form, staying true to her game and her disciplines, and they're carrying her, keeping her in stroke. Giovanna Napolitano at the table now, racking rack number 2. Alternate break brings her to the table for all the even-numbered racks. Anyone loses track? Nicole won the lag. We'll be breaking on all odd racks, 1, 3, 5, 7, and so forth. So this is rack number 2. Giovanna to break. Now let's see how her break is working for her here. A little further back, does not make the wing ball. 9-ball on the run, however, does not count on the break. It will count on a 1-9 combo, however, as the 7-ball goes down in the corner pocket. Possible quick rack here, folks.
And I believe the winner of this is going to play then Brianna. Is that correct?
Let me take a look at the charts here.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. The winner of this match will be playing Brianna. As I mentioned before, I believe she's coming over to the stream match next. So,
Yes, Brianna will be on live next. She is, what, is that quarterfinals? No, something
close to that.
something like that.
An overcut on the 1, no 9-ball, but do we get a safety? No. It's going to be a clear shot at the 1-ball. Not a great shot, but clear look at the 1.
She had some impressive early 9s. I think it might have only been 1, but she does combo very nicely. She sees things, she'll call it, and all of them are great attempts. Nicole, it didn't look like she hit that very, she didn't hit it where she wanted to, for sure, but it was almost like a 2-way. Like she was trying to get behind somewhere. So I don't know, maybe she was trying to play safe and it just didn't go her way. This 2-ball is not the nicest for either player to get on. As you see now, Giovanna kind of tucked herself behind the 6. She might be able to see the tiniest bit of the 2 to thin it, but it is not a position she wanted to be. She might try to go for it in the side. She actually had she could have hit it thinner and it would have gone. Now Nicole has a pretty open, everything looks way more open now compared to a moment ago. Oh my goodness. Would not have seen that coming. Wow. Always pay attention to where the cue ball might end up or hit. I think she wasn't trying to hit that 9-ball at all, and it just skimmed it at the right spot to send the cue ball in the pocket.
So with that, Giovanna at the table with ball in hand. A nice, easy follow-up for 4-ball. She's a little off angle here from drawing straight back, catching the right rail. Just go. I was gonna say she can just go forward, try to punch over for it around the 8-ball.
I don't know.
Ball's real short of that. She was stretching on the shot. She couldn't really follow through properly to get the juice on the cue ball.
It looked like she was trying to draw it back, and it was just one of those you try to draw, but because of the stretch and the reach, you just ended up stopping it. It looked like she was trying to draw that.
Here's the kick, and what a fortunate roll, and the speed. Yep, she stays clear of the 8-ball.
The speed was perfect, too.
Only if that were intentional. Sometimes good things happen.
Oh, gee.
Ouch. 3 odd turns of events in a row right there.
Right. Wow.
Very unfortunate for Giovanna now. Nicole Nestor left with 3 balls on the table. Position 4. Good lay on the 8 ball. A little bit further than she wanted to, but a nice natural rollover.
It looked like
Back
it was
over for the 9 ball.
Looked like it was going to keep going for a second. Oh my gosh.
Overcuts it. All she had to do was pocket the 8. It was a natural position
Yeah.
on the 9 ball.
She kind of rushed that.
I was going to say, she let up on that a little bit. She didn't stay down. She didn't bear down on it as much as her other shots.
Just didn't take time. It did seem kind of easy, but she didn't take the normal time that she does. Like Giovanna, for example, she takes about the same amount of time on every shot. And we all speed up occasionally, but that's when mistakes like that can happen when you underestimate a shot that seems so easy. Like, oh, I just make this and it'll be fine.
Down goes the 9 ball, and Giovanna goes up to 1, tying this race up at 1 apiece. Race to 5 alternate break brings Nicole to the table. Once again, the winner of this match will be facing off against Brianna Miller, multiple-time junior champion. And she's taken down a few ladies' events.
Caleb, that's actually an interesting topic. I never fully understood that either, as far as why there's such a huge gap. But there's been many women's tournaments I've been in that are handicapped and many that aren't. It's a good mix of both. If Ed can give his theory as far as why the gap is so big.
I can elaborate on a couple things. I don't want to get hate out there, though, because it's tough to say things without being... actually, I'm saying goodbye to someone here that I've known for about 25 years.
So we'll pause on that.
Yeah.
We'll pause on that conversation.
No, I'll get back to it. It's fine. But just
That's
as an
pause.
example, the man I just said goodbye to, I don't know if you're familiar with Timmy. He used to run with a guy by the name of Pete DeFlesco, who was one of the few big open players back in late 80s, early 90s. As he got older, he was my nemesis to try to finally beat, and he used to beat up on me for years. And this plays into why. I never took a handicap. I was never given a proper handicap, even though I'm over my head, I'm gambling, whatever. When I did gamble, that toughened me up. And it was always chase the bigger players to try to beat the biggest players. Nowadays, the climate has changed where everyone's looking and getting softer with these handicaps, expecting handicaps to carry them as a crutch as opposed to leveling out the field. Okay, so that's one factor in today's society for now in the pool climate.
Into why there's
But
such
now
a big
the
gap
between women and men,
right.
the men have been doing that for several years and decades, hundreds of years, centuries before women were allowed to play pool. So we have a head start on that. But why today, with better equipment, more powerful brake cues, carbon fiber shafts, making the shots more powerful, requiring less human strength behind them, faster cloth, faster rails, better balls? This is the touchy part. Men are known to be, by nature, the hunters, and simple-minded at times, where we keep things simple naturally. Women are more analytical by nature, where that kind of hinders them in the game. I'm trying to say this properly. And,
yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it.
Over-contemplating things hurts you in this game.
Yeah, like
so
even when
being
you
too
said
analytical, it can hurt you. It's a great thing for many things in life, finances, calculations, so forth. But overanalyzing things in this game is a hindrance to you more than it is a help. So that's one factor. There used to be a thought that it was all about the break and the brute strength of a man over a woman is what it comes down to. Well, now the break is not a beastly break.
It's not.
It's a calculated break where with the template racks and the better equipment, stronger cues. So you can eliminate that argument in today's style of pool, which is a more calculated, robotic type of play. So now it just comes down to over-contemplating. Look at the pace of your average female player versus your pace over the average male player, whether they're at a 550, 650, or 800. There's still a lot more contemplation from the women than the men. So if I can give any advice, Trust yourself. Just trust yourself.
That's actually a great theory. I know,
It's fact.
I'll still call it theory. But I know we've bounced around the idea in like women's groups and whatnot as far as why. Like, why is there such a big difference? And you know what? That is, like, we talked about things similar to what you're hinting on, but that is a very good point.
If you want to go back in time, straight pull era, I barely caught it when I started playing. That was the first game I took seriously when I first started playing for about 3-4 months before Texas Express 9-ball came into play. Once Texas Express was implemented back in the day over a rollout 9-ball, it whipped me away as a 17-year-old getting serious about the game. And it was all the craze. And it was a fast, high-action gambling game, which was more exciting, faster pace. We didn't have to make 100 balls to determine a winner. Anyhow, in that era, Gene Belucas beat up on the men, a lot of the men. They played evenly. There was no break. It's a soft rollout break in straight pool. So as the game evolved into a rotation game, that separated the women from the men even more.
And even now, I think people are starting to realize that. I don't think so.
No, okay, she's clear, yeah.
But even now, people are realizing it's like you said, it's more calculated. The break is more calculated. You don't need to super power your break to get an efficient and effective break. It's almost like a medium hard, like just kind of hit it like a far stop shot type thing.
Exactly.
And you get a lot more action than if you overpower the break. So people are starting to realize that now too. It's not a soft break either. It's just you actually get better reaction from the rack.
And that's actually being looked at now in the pro circuit as far as eliminating that calculated break. The racking is too perfect with a template. So now alternative options are being searched. Excuse me, all the hiccups here. Alternative actions are being searched for, or alternative racking options are being searched for. So now we're going to be reverting back to either the triangle rack or other racking methods. I'm actually working on something that's an alternative to templates and the triangle, because there's too much randomness with the triangle where you're not getting a good rack, too many plug racks out there at all levels. And at the same token, the template rack is too easy. It's no longer a break, it's a shot.
Even look at what they are doing with the pros. They're making them shoot within like a box in the kitchen. They can't break from wherever they want just because there's, especially with a template rack, which is what everybody is using right now, it just kind of eliminates certain things that people have gotten too used to and too well known. Caleb, I think the break is a shot for anyone. And that's the point. Like,
that's
the break has,
the
break is it's basically a stop shot from long distance table. You don't need to overpower it. Even a woman doesn't have to overpower it to get an effective break. And
we have Savannah Easton, 13 years old. She's breaking them like a quote unquote like a monster.
Right.
She's doing a stop shot break.
Yeah. So.
A firm medium stroke with a little bit of elevation, you can pop the cue ball. And then stop the rock center, squat the rock halfway between the spot and the side pocket.
And that just started to become a norm compared to even a year ago, I want to say, where everybody was trying to put everything they could into the break and make it super powerful. You're seeing a lot of people. Okay, okay.
At least on a pro circuit, a few years actually. But now on the amateur play here and on lower levels or opens, it's becoming more and more common as well. So, everyone's aware of it. Let's put it that way. Every avid player on a tour or plays tournaments regularly is very familiar with that option for the break. Caleb, I'm with you on that, but I'm not going to get into that argument. I didn't want to even make it public, but on one of the podcasts, someone leaked it out. I'm actually working on a product that could replace templates and triangles. Eliminates the templates and the triangles.
And I had a chance to test it out, and I must say, I am very interested. It is such a unique concept that I don't even know how you came up with it. I don't even know how you thought of it. But either way, very exciting. Stay tuned for that whenever the final product comes out. So
I just don't want to cause
interesting.
waves with friends of mine that do create templates because I work with Outsville on several events, and they, I believe, have one of the best have the best template out there. The Magic Rack was the original one. The Outsville AccuRack, I believe, simulates the cloth a little bit better, grabs the ball, and it doesn't slide out of place. You don't skid when you roll over it, so forth. But
Caleb.
I just want to take a stab at things.
Oh,
here.
yeah. It's so interesting. I'm excited for it to really come out. As far as Caleb, like, I completely agree. The break isn't everything. And we were kind of hinting at that before. A lot of people thought the major gap between the men and the women was the break, that men could break way more powerfully.
No,
But
that's not
it's-
so much of a factor
But it's not even that. Like, the break doesn't determine who wins.
at this level.
I mean, yes, when you have competitive players, it's what you do afterwards. In which case, I think Ed definitely brought up a very good point about overthinking, overanalyzing. That just naturally, I think I agree. Women tend to do more of compared to men. So that might be a reason why the gap is so big. But that's kind of how we got into that conversation. As far as this, what is Nicole going to do? So Nicole is up 2-1. If she did the 7 in the bottom right corner, the cue ball would just be a little worrisome. So she's trying to put low
And-
right on her.
She's playing the safety, just holding the rock behind the 9. Two-way shot, bank the 7. If it goes, great. If not, hold the rock.
Would it be great
No,
if
not
that
two-way,
7
just a
went?
safe. It
If
was
that
safe.
7 went, that would not
No,
be great.
not be
Ed.
great. That's why I take that
That
back.
was a full. That was a full
the
safety.
Thought. That was a thought. A full
And
safety. Yep.
that was perfectly executed. She made sure her
Well
cue
done.
ball got right behind that 9. That was beautiful.
So now you were mentioning about Giovanna's kicking abilities earlier in your match. Let's see how she does here as she's faced with yet another
I
kick.
said that, and then I realized how many times I said failed safe. But no, I played her twice today. There wasn't many times she gave me ball in hand at all. So I think she'll hit it.
Well, one else full in the face. Now, how's the speed? Remember, speed is of the utmost importance on kicks, soft or hard, and she needed a harder kick on that. She had to send the 7 ball
it's
back
not
down
like she's
table.
handing over ball in hand. So
It's a straight-in shot.
I know. I'm
It's a
just saying.
straight-in
I'm just saying. Yes, if she had changed her speed a bit, it would have differed this shot. But it's hard to get a
not
ball in hand. It's
but
hard to get a ball in hand from her on a kick because she knows her ankles. is
That's good.
What
No,
I was
I
saying.
did definitely give her credit. She does
Yeah.
know the angle.
Right.
She sees the line to contact the ball. She just adds the speed to it.
Yeah.
Now look at this. It was too straight to really work with.
It was.
And Nicole, sacrificed the shot trying to get position for the 8, but didn't do either there.
Giovanna could definitely
She has
get
two
this
options.
rack.
She has either option here, whichever she's more comfortable with. Cutting this thin with inside and bringing the cue ball
I
back
think that's
over.
what she's
I like
gonna
that
do.
option.
Yeah.
The bank is a little bit off.
Yeah, I don't
There's a
like the
dead
bank.
bank,
She's
okay, not
definitely
bad,
she's
but-
definitely gonna cut this. Oh. First it
Close.
looked a little
Yeah.
right?
She looked like she hit a little thick there.
Looked a
Gonna hit
little
the long row.
questionable for a moment. Caleb, yes, this is Alyssa. Oh, that was questionable too.
Okay, they're
All
falling.
right,
Close
all
enough.
right, yes, yeah. I got this from George Hammerbacher. Wiped its feet on his way in.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I think it's a
I
good
have no
analogy.
comment. I have
It's
no
a good
comment.
analogy
I have
for
no
that.
comment. At first, I thought you said paint, and I was like, "What do you mean?" Oh, she did not say paint.
No.
Yeah, don't say it again. Moving
don't
right
know.
along.
Yeah,
it took
I
us
have
long
no
enough
idea.
to teach people how to say the point of the pocket as opposed to other
Yeah,
things.
no,
So
I
let's
don't
not
know.
go backwards.
I don't know what he is even thinking.
And
Wiped the
an
feet
unfortunate
on
miss
the
here on the
way.
9 ball now.
That
Rather than
was.
tying it up with 2 games apiece, this is going to put Nicole Nestor over the
It
hill.
could. No
over the midway
jinxes
point.
here. No jinxes. I've seen so many things today.
Yep.
As far
Alright.
as
And
shots
indeed-
people should have had.
Indeed, Nicole goes up 3 games to 1. Big difference between 2-2 and 3-1. And has the benefit of the break in her favor. And with a template rack, the break is removed. We'll see the wing ball going in, the one ball dressing up in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Top right pocket in old school terminology. In streaming terminology, the bottom right corner. As a matter of fact, if you take apart the table and pull the boots out of the pockets are called boots, right, on Brunswicks, they actually say top right, bottom left, so forth and so forth. So they only fit one way in the corners because obviously it shoots the ball in a certain direction.
Are diamonds the same way?
Nope.
It's just Brunswick.
Yeah, Brunswick the same.
Oh,
Diamonds have looks like a PVC pipe cut in half, kind of a shoot to it.
The one thing
All
I
right,
will say,
she did miss the wing ball, almost made the one ball, but it's a dry break here. And look, they didn't really spread out too well, even with the template. No. There might have been a misrack there. She hit him okay. She didn't drill him or nail the break. Look at this professional removal of the rack here. I'm offended by this. I'm a professional racker referee.
I do this all the time. I'm like, all right, it can't move that much.
Cringe.
It doesn't move that much.
It shouldn't affect the shot either way.
Yeah, as long as both players are okay with it.
Grab a piece of chalk, put it next to the ball.
It's too much effort, Ed.
So is pool. So is a stop shot. Stop shot's a lot of effort. Let me check in the chat room, see where.
So Wrath thinks the alternate break ruined packages being put together, and that fully agreed. Definitely did. There's almost like a different kind of package when it comes to alternative break, because I even got into it with Tina on this table earlier today. I broke dry, she ran him out. She broke and she ran. And then you can kind of string packages, but especially if the opponent who's been sitting a while, if they're cold and not right, haven't been shooting much, you can still use that as an advantage to string racks. It's not necessarily called a package, because you're right, it's really hard to find a winner break format these days. You almost never find it. I like winner break.
I also
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Entertain me.
Everyone here. All right. The reason for alternate break is because of viewership. Everyone tuning in wants to see their player play, so alternate break allows, at least this is the AccuStats reason that I was given by Pat Fleming, there are more hill matches, which everyone wants to see with alternate break, of course. No runaways. People don't want to tune into a match and not see their favorite player play, so that guarantees both players get a chance.
Right.
However, we had an interesting comment in the chat also from Rafi once again, thinking alternate break was the worst thing, blah, blah, blah. Notice something else. Boy, I'm getting old. I'm going to say, back in my days when I used to play. I retired 17 years ago. Anyhow, the amount of packages run were more often and more common. My question is, why were packages more common with winter break formats, that when a player today does play an event, given an opportunity to run packages, because there are still some winter break formats, they don't run packages with better equipment, easier breaks, faster rails. We have less packages run today. I mean, on a 9-foot table, I don't want to hear about Justin Bergman's 18 racks on a bar box with buckets or any of those. Someone else made a high run, I think like 7 or 9 or something. But it was a lot, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it was a lot more common. A lot more common back in the day with slower cloth, slower rails. You know why? I have a theory on why.
I have a theory too. I want to hear yours first.
But there's a lot less big packages today, or common 4s and 5s are common. I mean, not all the time, but I mean, you see them quite often, right? I'll tell you what, 3s were common. 3s were common in an open tournament.
So why do you think?
I want to hear yours first. Ladies first.
I mean, I don't know. My just opinion is people aren't used to doing it as much anymore, so it kind of gets in their head of like, oh my goodness, I broke and ran 1, I broke and ran 2, and just because they rarely get a chance to do the winter break format, that it just affects their play and it gets in their head. Just like if you're new, not new, but even me, if I'm like breaking and running, I cannot think that I'm breaking and
Right, no,
running.
you just do it.
Yeah,
Should be on autopilot.
it just needs to be done, and I can't think about that. So if somebody isn't used to that and used to the opportunity to break and run packages, and then they are in that opportunity, it might just get in their head. That's my theory. Oh, gee,
Watch outside pocket.
Oh,
Ouch.
that's
That hurt.
rough.
Nicely run. Nice little run going there, and then that's the first nail in the coffin.
That was.
A
And
big
by the way,
blow to the mental game and the heart right
I
there.
know. Caleb, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh my goodness, that did sting the heart. So Nicole takes the lead to 4-1 now.
Yep, she's on the hill.
Hey, this was the situation I was in with Giovanna, so there's always an opportunity in 9-ball to come back and make a difference. So.
Especially with alternate break.
Yes, especially with alternate break.
Especially with alternate break. Oh my god. All right, you ready?
What's your theory? Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit of entertainment while she's racking. In days past, I don't want to say older days, in days past, when the equipment was not as advanced, a larger stroke was required. And you had to fight through mallee cloth, mud, on every single shot, which forced you to have a big stroke or a bigger backstroke, more power in each shot. So therefore, it wasn't a big deal to come with a shot to break up a cluster and continue a run. Now we are reliant upon an open table and then duck behind a ball like a little child and play safe, creating 12 innings in a rack of 9-ball when we would just go for it, come with a shot, break up a cluster, and keep the opponent in the chair in a winner's break format.
Interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. It might be a mix of both. But yeah, I mean, I do know.
It almost makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, maybe. I mean,
Winners break format, and tougher equipment.
Yeah, yeah.
It prepared us. It developed.
Yeah.
It forced us to develop. It prepared us for all situations.
Right, because if you handed it over, if you didn't do the breakout and gave it to the opponent, and the opponent found a way to do the breakout and then win that rack, then now it's winner break. So you have the potential to not see the table again. So it kind of makes you be a little bit more aggressive to make sure you take over. It's a good theory.
It's fact.
It is not fact.
It's experience. You weren't there. You had to be there.
You're right. I wasn't there. It's still theory, though.
In your mind, theory.
Ralph has a theory, too.
Old guys. Rafi, Caleb, help me out.
Let's see.
How old is I don't even know if what's Caleb's age. I think
that.
that's like 10 years on him.
He said with alternate break, you don't have a chance to heat up. No one catches a gear anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't often see players' best games in alternate format because of that.
Yeah, that's a good point, too.
Catching a gear comes with multiple racks. Absolutely.
However, but if they are in a winner break format, you're not seeing the same packages being run as before. So if it is a winner break format, they should have the opportunity to warm up and get into gear. So even today, if it is a winner break format that they're in, you don't see the packages that, from what I hear, back in other days.
Before your time. Before your time, honey.
You don't see as many big packages as you used to. So it's an interesting question as to why, even if they are in a winner break format.
And I do believe with Caleb's comment there. Definitely, you don't have to hit the balls hard. You have the bigger strokes. But I did have a conversation with Ivan Lee of Simonis about developing a cloth that, when it's brand new, is already nappy, has a thicker nap or tougher nap, or is like a broken end cloth, and it's physically impossible to do with a worsted wool, which is what we play with. Now, we call it felt. Some people still refer to it as felt, which it hasn't been felt for decades, or maybe a century even.
That was a great hit. I'm sorry.
we do have a match going on, right?
Yeah.
But everyone in the chat room tuned in is more interested in philosophy.
I know
So,
we
it's
got
keeping
some
the chat active. I want the chat
interesting.
active.
Yeah, we
So,
want you guys to talk and
we
hear
have an
your
educated
opinions.
crowd. They know what's going on the table. They don't
And
need us to
these are
narrate the
interesting
play-by-play.
topics. These are interesting
But this
topics.
is what gets the next generation caught up. If we combine the knowledge of old with the ease of today or the technology of today, now we can have great play. But that's also why we don't have beautiful play anymore. Players had their own style, their own defined style of play. Rodney Morris played a certain way. Johnny Archer played a certain way. Earl played a certain way. Efren played a certain way. And speaking of the break, Efren and Earl neither had great breaks. Efren had less of a break. So Efren had to get into wrestling matches and tactical matches and knew he didn't have a great break. So he would make sure he forced a tactical game
Just
out of
like
most of his
how
opponents.
Caleb said Dave Day did the same thing.
Yeah.
Not a great break, but still was a super tough competitor.
So when I was speaking with Ivan Lee about creating a cloth that once it's freshly installed, it doesn't have a polyurethane coating, which some ones doesn't, but several do. It doesn't have that slick surface. It's physically impossible to create a worsted wool that can simulate that. So I asked him, why does it have to be worsted wool? I mean, do we care what the actual product is as long as it plays consistently? That's the problem. Worsted wool and a thread count per square inch keeps consistency going. So other fabrics don't work. But snooker players adjust. Are they stronger minded than we are as pool players? They adjust to a unidirectional cloth where it's like velvet one way and velour the other.
Yeah.
So if you ever have a chance to pet a snooker table or a Chinese 8-ball table, anything with some stracking cloth or snooker cloth
Oh
on
my
it.
goodness. If you ever get a
Different.
chance to be like on a legit snooker table, if you're a pool player and get a chance to be on a snooker table, whether it's like a Chinese 8-ball table with the rounded pockets or the official 12-foot snooker table, best experience ever. You'll come to a 9-foot table and feel like this is a joke. And so it seems so small after coming off of that table. Chris, thank you for chiming in.
Let's get a little roll call. Where is everybody tuned in from? Where are your current locations? Whether it's if you're in Pennsylvania, in the state of Pennsylvania where this tournament is going on, what town are you chiming in from? And if you're not in Pennsylvania, what state are you watching from? Or country even?
All right,
Great
G.
shot, nice stroke.
All
She's
right,
not
G.
giving up. There's no give up in this girl.
Come on.
She goes, I know what I'm doing here. My back's against the wall. She's on the hill. I have no
Hey.
choice. I've got to go for it.
Exactly.
And here we go back to that mindset. No contemplation, full force.
Hey, she did it. She got it done. And this was, I mean, in our match even, this was a turning point with us. Like, I started gaining momentum, and it was just that one failed safe that made it not be hill for me and her. So I want to see her kind of come back and make this a big match for them. It would be a good entertaining match, I think, for all of us.
I'm just looking at the comments back to Rafi, back in the day with the winners format, back on the winners format thing. We used to, tease each other in the pool room. We all talk trash, and it's the best time, right? And one of the sayings I remember, we used to yell at each other, even when we were like meeting our friends in action or whatever. We used to yell, "Keep them in the chair," and I had the mindset that I shared with people at that time that the only two times I am allowing you out of the chair is to either rack or kick. And that, step on his neck kind of mentality, or, never give up, apply pressure until the set is over, it kind of faded away because, you're getting another opportunity next rack if you play a bad rack, And the super conservative play now doesn't allow for those packages and doesn't allow you to get, catch that gear and all the things mentioned that were in the chat room from everybody and what we mentioned earlier over there. So big difference in the game. And the beauty of the game, I believe, is lost with going now, even on Pro Circuit, tighter pockets, slick cloth, great equipment, carbon fiber, whatever, and alternate brakes. We've lost the beauty and the individual personalities of players because of that. It's a different game now. It's dumbed down to just pocketing.
I mean, it's kind of what Rafi is pointing out with this, is that people are kind of, especially if they're used to the alternate break format, that you're just conditioned to take it one rack at a time compared to the mindset of uh, putting packages together.
Keep them in the chair.
Yeah. And when you're in the chair that long,
You get cold.
multiple, yeah, it's a big difference. I felt that way even with my match with Tina, and it's still alternate break, but I definitely felt like I was keeping my chair very warm.
You get cold, the chair gets warm.
There was one moment I came back to my chair. I'm like, oh my gosh, my chair cooled off for a little bit. I'm like surprised.
You know, and there have been hybrids of formats tried before. I know I remember setting up a challenge match between Jason Shaw when he first came over to the U.S. Proud to say, and introduced him to the U.S. and the very first time he was on camera in the U.S. was 2012 against my house pro at the time, Ronnie Elcano. But it was a 10-ball match, race to 10 on a 10-foot diamond table. The only 10-foot diamond in circulation at the time, and one of 4 tables that existed. That's online somewhere. I don't know if it's AccuStats in AccuStats archives or on YouTube somewhere. Actually, at the time, it might have been Ustream, which has all been lost. But there's another match I put together with Jason Shaw and Francisco Bustamante. And it was also a 10-ball match, race to 15, I believe it was. And it was a one-on-one challenge match, you know, also. However, I tried what was called a break format called break possession, similar to tennis, where each player had an opportunity to break 5 times in a row, regardless if they won or lost, just to see how many packages were put together. So it's a race to 15. Each player gets 5 possessions straight.
Oh, okay.
I'd like everyone in the chat room to guess what the highest package run was. Now, this is Francisco Bustamante, Hall of Famer, fantastic
and
player, strong break.
You
Jason
said 10
Shaw
ball?
coming up. This is 10 ball.
So, say Francisco was the first person around. No matter
no
how
template, just so you know, no template.
So, no matter who won the rack, he would break the first 5 racks.
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
And then then the other player would break the next 5. I mean, I feel like that's different than stringing packages too, because if you're breaking and running, you're warmed up. If the opponent runs out the remaining of the balls and you've been in the chair the whole time, if you get the break, it doesn't really make a difference. You're not that warm either.
To answer Caleb's question, yes, holding serve. Anybody have any guesses on what the highest run was overall and by whom? Play a little game here. We'll give, 5-10 minutes for people to think about that? 5 minutes, that's a long time here.
I mean, I feel like 2 minutes, because let's face it, people
Are they
5 minutes from
responding?
now might not.
I want to talk about the match a little bit.
I know.
We have Nicole on the hill here, possibly putting it away
This is
with only
great.
4 balls left on the table.
She should definitely be able to close this out.
Now she has a
little
nice
high
natural
left.
angle.
Yeah, everything is. She is doing high left, but you don't need any angle.
It was natural, but it helped
You
a little
didn't
bit.
need
It's okay.
need anything, but with the high left, it gave you
Gave
this
this angle.
natural angle to come around for the 8 without having to worry about the 9.
She
So
played that with perfect speed. She can reach the ball easily there.
Caleb, 5 racks. Each player got to break 5
Are you
racks.
listening, Caleb? Have we ever met in person? What is Caleb? I'm joking. I'm teasing. Totally joking. I'm very sarcastic. Are you even paying attention here?
All right, this
It's
is
not a players' meeting. Pay
this
attention.
is a big. Just has to not overhit it.
Speed
This
is
is
good.
perfect. Perfect. It's not on the rail. It's out in the middle of the table. Straight in shot for her. That was great, Nicole. Nicole wins.
Nicole takes down the set. Victorious over Gianna Napolitano, 5 games to 2.